Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're looking at something that feels like it's straight out of a spy movie, but honestly, it happens every single day in the corporate world. Imagine literally hiring a highly skilled hacker to break into your own company's most secure systems, bypass your alarms, and, steal your data. Sounds kind of crazy, right? But this authorized, thrilling heist is actually designed to bulletproof an organization's defenses. It's the fascinating world of penetration testing, and we're going to break down exactly how these ethical hackers pull it off.
Okay, let's dive right into this mission briefing. We've got Section 1, what is penetration testing? Section 2, choosing the attack strategy. Section 3, exploiting web vulnerabilities. Section 4, the life cycle of a hack. And finally, Section 5, prioritizing the targets. Section 1, what is penetration testing? To put it simply, penetration testing, or ethical hacking, is a simulated, proactive cyber attack against a system, network, or web application to identify exploitable security vulnerabilities. The absolutely crucial word here is proactive. You're not just waiting around for malicious actors to strike. You're finding the weak spots in your own armor and fixing them before the bad guys even know they exist. It's really a critical practice for strengthening your overall security posture. To really map out this heist, we need the right vocabulary. The vulnerability is the weakness itself, like, say, an unpatched piece of software. The exploit is the actual method used to take advantage of it, which then delivers the payload, the actual malicious code. We point all of this at our target system while strictly staying within the scope, which defines exactly what is off limits to our ethical hacker. Section 2, choosing the attack strategy. The whole strategy really hinges on how much the hacker knows. In black box testing, they have zero prior knowledge of the architecture. They're an absolute outsider. It's like simulating a real-world external attack on an e-commerce giant where you have to do literally all of your own reconnaissance. Contrast that with white box testing. That's where you hand the hacker the architectural blueprints and full internal access for a deep inside-out assessment. Strategy also dictates who knows the attack is actually coming. Announced testing happens with the full cooperation of the IT team. It's scheduled, it's much lower risk, and it tests the security with minimal business disruption. But unannounced testing, that brings the element of surprise. The target organization has no idea it's happening. It's a high-risk approach for sure, but it perfectly evaluates how an organization detects and responds to a real-world attack in real time. Section 3, exploiting common web vulnerabilities. First up is cross-site scripting, or XSS. This is a vulnerability where attackers inject malicious scripts, usually JavaScript, into otherwise trusted websites. Let's say there's a comment box on a popular blog. An attacker types in a script instead of a comment. When unsuspecting users view that page, the script runs directly in their browser. This allows the attacker to steal their session cookies or redirect them to malicious sites. They basically turn a totally harmless comment section into a weapon. But we can definitely defend against this. The absolute first line of defense is sanitizing user input. Never trust what a user types into a text box. You also want to lock down the browser by using HTML encoding and a strict content security policy to dictate exactly what resources are allowed to load. Okay, our next target is cross-site request forgery, or CSRF. This one is super sneaky. It tricks a user who's already logged into a web application into submitting a malicious request without even knowing it. Just imagine you're logged into your banking website in one tab. In another tab, you click a bad link. That link silently triggers a hidden request to your bank to transfer money out of your account. Because you were logged in, the bank assumes it was a legitimate request from you. Crazy, right? Fortunately, organizations can shut this down. Using anti-CSRF tokens ensures every request is intentionally made by the actual user. But perhaps the most foolproof method? Requiring reauthentication. If your bank forces you to provide, say, a biometric scan right before transferring funds, a silent CSRF attack is stopped dead in its tracks.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next vulnerability. Imagine a hacker types a specific phrase into a login box, admin, single quote, or single quote, 1 equals single quote 1. This is SQL injection. They're manipulating the back-end database query, effectively telling the system, hey, log me in as the admin, or log me in if 1 equals 1. Since 1 always equals 1, the database just grants access, giving the attacker full control. SQL injection can expose entire databases, but using prepared statements, also known as parameterized queries, creates your ultimate shield. It forces the database to treat input strictly as data, not executable code. Combine that with rigorous input validation and limited database permissions, and you lock the front door completely tight.
Section 4. The life cycle of a hack. A full attack unfolds in 6 chronological phases. It begins with planning and reconnaissance to gather intel, followed immediately by scanning to find open ports and entry points. Next is the breach itself, gaining access by exploiting vulnerabilities. But getting in isn't enough. Attackers then try maintaining access to create persistent backdoors. After the dust settles, they pivot to analysis and reporting, documenting their findings. And finally comes the most critical phase of all, remediation and retesting to ensure the security holes are actually patched. Let's look at the actual tools they're using out in the wild during these phases. For reconnaissance, hackers use Whois for domain intel and Nmap to scan for open ports. During scanning, they might deploy OpenVAS, which can detect specific vulnerabilities, like maybe an outdated Apache web server. To actually gain access, they use frameworks like Metasploit to exploit that server and execute remote commands. And once they're inside, well, during post-exploitation, they might run a tool called Mimikatz on a compromised machine to extract stored passwords, allowing them to move laterally across the entire network. And they don't just stay behind a keyboard either. They might use physical penetration testing, like cloning an RFID badge to walk right into a data center and drop a rogue device on the network. Or they might use social engineering, sending a fake Microsoft 365 phishing email to capture employee credentials. Section 5. Prioritizing the targets. Organizations absolutely must prioritize based on what matters most. They look at critical business functions like banking portals and weigh data sensitivity like databases holding personal health information. They also evaluate external exposure, since public-facing apps are highly visible targets. Furthermore, any new deployments are tested, since fresh code often introduces fresh bugs. And finally, regulatory requirements. If you fall under HIPAA or GDPR, regular testing isn't just a good idea, it's literally the law. To tie it all together, consider a real-life success story. A fintech company knew their payment gateway was a critical business function with massive data sensitivity. By prioritizing this target and running a full penetration test, they uncovered a highly insecure API. Because they found it during a simulated heist, they were able to fix it right before launch, literally saving the company from a disastrous public breach. A real game changer. Which brings us to the end of our mission briefing, with one final, really provocative question for you to consider. If an ethical hacker targeted your organization, or even your own personal digital footprint today, what critical vulnerability would they exploit first? It's a question definitely worth answering before someone else figures it out for you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.